Imagine this. He's sitting there scrolling through his phone wondering, why can't I stop thinking about her? And here's the secret. You didn't chase him. You didn't beg for attention. You flipped the game with one simple trick. This isn't about manipulation. It's about using reverse psychology to make him admit he's obsessed with you out loud without you even asking. Most women think closeness comes from giving more, proving more, showing up more. But the truth? A man gets hooked when he feels the gap. When he's not sure if he has all of you, his brain goes into overdrive. And here's where reverse psychology sneaks in. You don't tell him you want him. You let him feel the space where your attention used to be. Suddenly, he leans in. He asks more questions. He fights for clarity because the uncertainty is irresistible. If you're already thinking, okay, but how do I do this without pushing him away? Stay with me, because in a moment, I'm going to give you the exact words and actions that trigger this reaction without risking the connection. What if I told you there's a hidden psychological trigger that could make someone admit they're hooked on you without you even saying a single word? It's not about chasing attention, playing childish games, or dropping hints hoping he'll notice. No, it's about understanding how the mind works and using reverse psychology to make him reveal what he's truly feeling. You may have heard of this idea before, but never in this way. This isn't about manipulation. It's about tapping into the natural instincts that fuel attraction. Here's the twist. The moment you stop trying to control everything, the second you stop being overly available and too dependent on his validation, that's when the real magic begins. It's about creating mystery, sparking the chase, and making him sense he could lose something he didn't realize he valued so much. The instant you shift your vibe from "please notice me" to "I'm doing just fine without you," you trigger a reaction you may not expect. A reaction that pulls him closer, making him want to prove himself in ways he didn't even know he wanted to. But it's a thin line. Get it right, and he'll be completely drawn in, obsessed with you and everything you do. Get it wrong, and you risk him pulling further away. That's why it's important to really understand how this works and why it's so powerful in this video. You'll learn the subtle but powerful reverse psychology methods that can make him admit he's crazy about you without you asking a single question. Stay with me, because what you're about to discover can shift the way you see relationships forever. Reverse psychology isn't some magic spell or secret art only a few people understand. It's based on normal human behavior, something we all go through every single day, often without even noticing. At its core, reverse psychology is about creating a situation where a person naturally does the opposite of what they think they're expected to do. It plays on our natural resistance to control. The harder someone pushes us one way, the stronger we feel like going the other way. It's part of our deep need for independence. Think about it. When someone tells you exactly what you should or shouldn't do, what's your first instinct? Usually it's to do the opposite, right? This isn't just kids being rebellious. It's a built-in reaction that applies to adults too. It's part of how our brains process commands, suggestions, and even requests. The secret to reverse psychology lies in how you frame the message. If you directly tell someone to act a certain way, they'll often resist. But if you suggest they don't need to, or that it's not important, suddenly they feel like proving the opposite, as if they're challenging themselves or trying to prove something to you. It becomes a game of push-pull, where the small details matter much more than loud demands. This mental back and forth isn't about manipulating, it's about creating the space for someone to discover their feelings on their own without even realizing you had an influence. In relationships, this is where things get really interesting. The less you act attached or desperate, the more the other person starts questioning their own emotions. When you stop chasing, they begin to chase you. When they feel like your time and attention aren't guaranteed, it makes them want it even more. When they sense you're perfectly fine with or without them, they often do everything possible to flip that around. It's the reverse pull that makes them want to pursue you even harder. And all this happens without you forcing anything. But there's something even deeper behind all of this human nature. Itself, we're wired to desire what we can't easily have. The harder it feels to grasp something, the more valuable it becomes. The more someone senses you slipping out of their hands, the stronger their feelings grow. They start thinking about you constantly, wondering what you're doing, why you're not as present as before. And soon enough they find themselves spiraling into obsession, questioning how they let you drift away in the first place. That's why reverse psychology is not just about attention, it's a way of allowing someone to open up without pressure. It shifts the balance. So instead of you seeking his approval, he starts seeking yours. By pulling back a little, by setting boundaries and creating space, you give him the freedom to step forward in his own way. And this is crucial. Reverse psychology isn't usually instant. It doesn't flip a switch overnight. It works like a slow but steady shift in behavior, where small subtle moves lead to huge changes. You'll notice him showing more interest, trying harder to be around you, or starting deeper conversations. But the beauty of it is that he won't realize what's happening. He'll just feel more connected, more invested, and most importantly, more obsessed with you than he was before. The secret lies in stepping back. So he feels the urge to step closer. Suggestion does the work without pressure. Attraction isn't only about appearance, charm, or chemistry. It runs deeper. It's something built into the human brain from the start. Biologically, attraction is tied to survival. It's about finding someone who adds value, offers support, or improves chances of success in life. That's why it's such a strong force. It's instinctive. It comes from the signals our brain sends when we see someone as valuable, desirable, or capable of meeting our emotional and physical needs. But here's the fascinating part. Attraction rarely works in a straight line. It's often built on little shifts, emotions and subtle clues, things you don't always see right away but that make a lasting difference. One of the biggest drivers of attraction is unpredictability. People are naturally pulled toward mystery. When someone is always around, always available, always predictable, it becomes less exciting, less worth chasing. But when there's a hint of the unknown, when someone isn't always showing their cards, when their emotions aren't on display all the time, it creates a need to know more. Curiosity builds and that desire grows stronger. Our brains crave the unknown. We want to uncover the parts we don't see, and that becomes a powerful force pushing attraction forward. Attraction also feeds on perceived value, and that value grows when it's not easily in reach. It's human nature to want what feels just out of grasp. When something is handed to us easily, we lose interest because it doesn't challenge us. But when it's slightly beyond reach, it sparks motivation. We want to close the gap and claim it for ourselves. This is exactly why reverse psychology is so effective. By showing less availability or being less openly invested, you raise your perceived value in his eyes. The less he feels he can fully claim your attention, the more he wants it, the less you give away, the more important you become. The space you create becomes the fuel for his desire. The more distance he feels, the stronger his pull grows, because they're left wondering why they can't have you all the time. Another key part of attraction is the balance between effort and reward. When someone feels they've invested emotionally, physically, or mentally, the brain rewards them with a feeling of satisfaction and fulfillment. This is a deeply rooted psychological pattern. The harder someone works for something, the more they tend to value it. So when you stop pouring constant energy into a person, when you allow them to do the work, it sparks a change in how they see you. They begin to treasure the connection more, placing themselves in a position where they're working harder for your time, attention, and affection. Research in psychology shows people often connect the idea of difficulty with higher emotional worth. This is why giving too much too soon or showing heavy interest at the start can cause attraction to fade. People need to feel like they've earned it, that they've put effort in. Otherwise, the attraction may feel shallow, as if it doesn't mean much. An often ignored part of attraction is the role of challenge. Human beings are naturally pulled toward challenges, especially in relationships. A challenge taps into the side of us that loves solving puzzles and conquering obstacles. When someone is seen as a challenge, whether through their independence or emotional distance, it lights up the motivation to break down those barriers. It's no longer just about winning their affection. It becomes about proving to oneself that they can win this person. over, and in doing so they grow more and more obsessed with the idea of success. The brain frames it like a game worth winning, but here's the difference. It's not only about pretending to be hard to get it, it's about creating a flow where the other person feels curious and just a little uncertain. This emotional uncertainty, the push and pull of sometimes being open, then stepping back, creates tension, and tension is one of the strongest sparks for attraction. It keeps their thoughts locked on you, always wondering where they stand, what you're thinking, and when they'll get the chance to draw closer. It's that back and forth that makes them invest emotionally without realizing they're the ones chasing attraction. When you look at it this way, attraction is a tug of war between desire and availability, and the balance is delicate. Timing is everything. Reverse psychology works with this natural pattern, guiding someone to want you more when they feel like they don't completely have you. It speaks directly to their built-in need to chase to win and to feel like their effort is worth it, and when they finally admit they're obsessed, it's not only because of what you did, but because they've been swept into a cycle of desire without ever noticing. The real key to this trick is in subtlety. It's not about being cruel or shutting down emotionally. It's about making a small shift that causes the other person to work harder for your energy and affection. The method is simple, but it demands patience and self-control. It begins the moment you stop trying to get validation from them. Instead, focus on feeling whole within yourself. The less you appear to need them, the more their mind wonders why you're not completely invested, and that curiosity becomes the fuel that drives obsession. A good first move is pulling back emotionally. This doesn't mean becoming cold or shutting them out harshly. It means stepping back from the constant urge to please and letting space grow. When someone realizes you're not endlessly available, they feel a kind of absence. Not physical absence, but an emotional gap. Suddenly they notice they may not be as central to you as they assumed. That gap turns to a craving they want to fill. When you stop being so present, you become more intriguing and more desirable simply because they can no longer read exactly where they stand. Another effective approach is showing that you don't depend on how they feel about you by being less emotionally reliant. You push them into a spot where they feel they must prove themselves. In casual talks, you might say things like, "I'm enjoying my own time lately," or "I've been focusing on myself more these days." Statements like these don't reject them. They highlight your independence, and that independence is magnetic. The psychology here is simple. The less someone feels they have direct access to you, the more they crave it. It's as if the emotional distance creates a vacuum that pulls them in. The mind always focuses more on uncertain things. When you're no longer asking for approval, they begin to wonder why, and they lean in harder. Each step they take closer only makes them more invested, more drawn to you. The trick works too because it changes the usual roles in a relationship. Usually one person is the pursuer and the other is the pursued. But reverse psychology flips that dynamic. It makes the other person carry the emotional load. When you step back even a little, it sets off a response inside them to step forward. And the more they do, the deeper their need grows. Suddenly they want to know what you're doing, who you're with, where your time is going, and that curiosity fuels desire. But it's also important not to overdo it. The goal isn't to completely pull away or freeze them out for long periods. The goal is just enough space to spark questions and make them notice what they could lose. When someone feels they don't fully control the relationship, their thoughts shift from comfort to concern. That sense of maybe losing you grows into obsession because the mind hates unfinished business. It doesn't let go of what it doesn't fully have. By the time they realize they're falling into obsession, they're already too wrapped up, too emotionally tangled in the chase, and through it all you've stayed calm, not begging for approval, not chasing them, but letting them move closer on their own. The beauty of this reverse psychology trick is that it doesn't require game playing. It simply leans on natural attraction patterns. The less you give, the more they want. The more distance you allow, the stronger their pull becomes. And in the end, when they confess they're obsessed with you, it won't feel like something you forced. It will feel like something they chose because they couldn't stop themselves. Relationships require time, trust, and openness to grow. If you put up too many walls, it can stop that natural closeness from developing. So the secret is balance. Reverse psychology is not about building a wall. It's about gently stepping back just enough for him to feel the difference. When you create a little space, he feels the urge to move closer. But when you create too much space, he may assume you're no longer interested. The magic happens in the middle, where your independence makes him curious, while still allowing the relationship to breathe. The most effective way to use this is to focus on yourself while letting him notice the change. Don't announce it. Don't make it obvious. Simply shift your energy toward your own goals, happiness, and growth. This natural change in focus automatically makes you less dependent on his validation, and he will feel that shift without you having to say a word. When he sees you building your life, enjoying your own space, and radiating confidence, it draws him in stronger than anything else, because he senses that your world doesn't revolve around him, and that's what sparks the obsession. Remember, human attraction is fueled by unpredictability and longing. When he feels that he can't always predict your next move, or that your attention isn't guaranteed, he becomes more invested. It gives his mind something to chase, and that chase keeps his interest alive. The beauty of reverse psychology in relationships is that it doesn't force anything. It simply allows the natural pull of desire to work in your favor by stepping back. You encourage him to step forward by valuing yourself. You make him value you more by being fine on your own. You show him that he has to earn his place in your life. You'll see it in his actions, when he starts working harder to impress you, when he gives more attention, when he begins to open up and share things he didn't before. Those are clear signs the shift has taken root. The more he feels the challenge, the deeper his need to close the gap. The obsession grows because it's no longer just about attraction. It's about proving something to himself, about not wanting to lose someone he now sees as rare and valuable. But it's important to hold on to your own power through all of this. The goal isn't just to make him obsessed with you. It's to build a dynamic where you are respected, valued, and cherished. When you practice reverse psychology correctly, it should feel natural, not forced. It should strengthen the connection, not weaken it. Obsession on its own can fade, but when paired with respect and admiration, it turns into lasting attachment. That's where the real transformation happens, when he doesn't just want you because of the chase, but because he genuinely realizes your worth. So let him feel the space, let him experience the challenge, allow him to wander and to work for your attention, but always stay grounded in your independence. The moment you rely too heavily on his reactions, you lose the very energy that makes this so powerful. Instead of thinking, how can I make him obsessed? Shift the question to, how can I show up as the best version of myself? Because when you do that, the obsession happens naturally, not through tricks or games, but through the irresistible pull of confidence, mystery, and self-value. And that's what keeps him hooked, not just for now, but for the long run. And communication, reverse psychology works best when it is mixed with real emotional openness at the right times. If you close yourself off too much or act like you don't care at all about his feelings, the connection won't grow naturally. Real closeness needs honesty and some level of vulnerability. If there is no space for openness or warmth, the effect could be the opposite of what you want. He might stop trying and think the chase is not worth it anymore. When using reverse psychology, it's important to allow room for him to move toward you. If you pull away too far, you also take away his chance to step up and prove himself in a healthy and meaningful way. For attraction to deepen, he needs to feel that there is something valuable, to win something worth the effort. But if the distance you create is too wide, or the mystery becomes too heavy, it can discourage him instead of motivating him. You want him to feel curious, not doubtful or insecure. Always remember the value of being real and true during the process. If reverse psychology turns into too much control or constant manipulation of his emotions, it can damage trust, and once trust is broken, it is very hard to rebuild. Real connection grows through honesty, openness, and Transparency, creating fake reactions or games, may bring short-term results, but it can hurt the bond in the long run. The purpose should always be to build stronger emotional closeness through natural attraction, not by confusion or tricks that might backfire. Sometimes pulling back is necessary, but it's just as important to know when to show your real feelings again and re-engage. This is not about playing endless games of hide and seek with emotions. It's about allowing the natural flow of closeness and space to happen. Being emotionally distant should never become a permanent way of being. It should only be temporary to let him see your value when it is used in the right way. Reverse psychology will pull him closer, but the real key is knowing when to bring back your emotional warmth. If you use too much distance or rely on this strategy to avoid showing vulnerability, you lose the chance to build a genuine bond that can last. Emotional closeness, trust, and respect are the foundation of any strong relationship, while creating longing and curiosity through reverse psychology can make someone come toward you. It is the real emotional bond that will keep them there. The balance between mystery and honesty, between stepping back and moving forward, is what creates lasting attraction. As we have seen, reverse psychology is not some rare trick. Only a few people can use it. Comes from human nature and the way our minds react to desire, challenge, and distance. Once you understand how the brain responds to curiosity and emotional space, you can shift the balance of attraction in your favor. The secret is in patience, subtle moves, and timing. By creating just enough space, you make him question his feelings and chase more without needing to push or demand anything. This naturally makes him more emotionally invested without forcing the issue. But always be careful of the fine balance this requires. If you pull back too much, too early, you may send the wrong signal and he could lose interest instead of getting closer. Doing too much can lead to confusion, frustration, or emotional distance. The best way is when reverse psychology is combined with moments of openness, honesty, and real connection. In the end, reverse psychology is not about tricking someone. It is about knowing how attraction works and gently guiding the other person to realize their true feelings. Relationships are complex, and every person is different. What works for one might not work for another, but learning these principles gives you the tools to handle emotional situations with confidence and wisdom. You will begin to see the signs when someone is becoming more attached to you, and you will know when to step back or when to move closer. The real strength lies in having control of your energy without overdoing it, and without losing sight of what really matters. A bond built on trust, respect, and mutual attraction. If you found this video useful, don't forget to give it a like. It really supports our channel and helps us reach more people who want guidance in relationships. And if you want more videos like this, ones that go deeper into the psychology of love, attraction, and connection, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out. We are here to bring you the best tips, insights, and strategies to help you create the relationships you truly deserve. Thank you for spending your time with us. We truly appreciate your support. Check out our other videos for more advice, and we'll see you in the next one.